What do we have in store for today's haircut? All right. I'm doing a men's haircut, and I'm going to do this thing from start to finish so you can sit back, you can enjoy this, you can watch along, and let me know in the comments below if you enjoy this new setup I have. This is like my salon setup where I used to see clients, so I'm just going back to my OG roots of just cutting hair and styling, and hopefully you can all learn and watch something from this and enjoy this. So this is and I'm doing these basically like I'm treating this as if this was a real client. So I have the same approach. This is also my new favorite mannequin. I have a lot of different mannequins. This is Jake, and this is a really, really good mannequin. And I know some of you who watch my videos, I've actually gotten requests for Jake. They're like, dude, can you just use a Jake mannequin already? I'm like, okay. So what I'm doing, I'm going to be utilizing my 25 spray, which is basically like my leave-in 25 benefit spray. I always spray this on before I do anything. This is a great cutting lotion, and I always make sure that I'm pressing down firmly just to make sure, because it is a thicker liquid. And then I'm using my anti-static vent brush, literally my favorite vent brush of all time as a professional. Yes, this is my brush. This is my actual mold of a brush, so I own this. It's got a rubber handle, which is great for the gripping, and it's got the bristles on it, and it's an anti-static vent brush. So even if you're using this on dry hair, you're not going to get any sort of static. So the most important thing, especially if you have longer hair, and if you're watching this as a client, this is just good stuff for you to know anyway, is, you want to make sure that you're using something that has, good benefits to the hair. And that's why I created 25 spray. That's why I have this anti-static vent brush, because it glides through the knots. So I always say it's important just to have something that glides through the hair on a regular basis every time you wash it, so it just keeps the tangles out. Just try to keep it simple. But yeah, it's a really, really good brush and something that I use as a professional. So I'm just going to, and I always like to have a towel on hand. If you're a professional watching this, a hair professional, always have an extra towel on hand. When I was seeing clients, I would always put a towel around the client's neck before I wash their hair, and then I would use that same towel or a new one, just keep it around the neck, and then put the cape over, and always have one towel handy for yourself, whether it's to make sure you're getting rid of the excess water, any hair in the face, something that you can, wipe maybe your hands with product, or if you get hair on your fingers or something, just having a towel always ready. And I learned that early on in my career as a hair professional. It really, really helps. What are we doing today? So I am going to be, now this is the first time I'm really looking at this. I haven't even analyzed or picked out the haircut because I wanted to do this a bit more real time with you all, which makes it kind of interesting. I do know that, the kind of middle part flow haircut is something that is really, really big. A lot of people seem to want it. So I'm feeling like let's do something a bit edgy to where we keep a lot of length in the front here, but go somewhat shorter throughout the sides and the back. Something kind of like a, 90s grunge or something a little more alternative, where we keep a lot of this length in through here, but we get rid of a lot of the length throughout the back and the side. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just establish my guide, establish the division point separating the front from the back. This is something that I think is always crucial to do when cutting hair. It just gives you a clear picture and a much better roadmap when you're cutting hair. And when I say division point, literally you can see I'm just separating the front from the back. Do I need to do 86 sections? No. It's just me. I want to get this out of the way, be efficient with it, and then boom, I'm done, right? You can clip this out of the way, but this is all I'm looking to do, is just create some separation so I know what the front is and I know what the back is. This way I can focus purely on that area at a time. And this is going to give me a clear path. So let's back out a little bit, and I'm going to bring this head down slightly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to establish my length. Now, I do want to have some length in the back, right? I do want to maintain a little bit of length, but nothing like It is now. This is way too long right now. So I do want to take up some of that length. Now, you can either just push this out of the way, or you can clip it out of the way. I like to be efficient, so boom, I can see my section. I'm ready to go, and why waste any time? So let's go right here. Boom, straight across. I'm not using any tension with my fingers, and I just created a straight line as my base foundation right there. Now, these mannequin heads, sometimes there are a couple of hairs, but just get rid of it, and there we go. So you can see I established my base perimeter right there. Perfect. Now, ready to move on to the next section. Boom, there we go. Next section, twist this, get this out of the way. Perfect. Next section, straight across. Comb it down, push this out of the way. I like to hold the hair while I comb it like this. And then boom, now we have a clear section, and I'm ready to rock and roll. There it is right there, and let's go. Straight across, straight across, straight across. We're done there. Straight across, and we're done. Next section. You can see already I'm being very, very efficient with this. I'm making sure that, yes, I'm getting all the proper sectioning, and I'm just really just getting this hair out of the way to be a lot more efficient. And for time management, okay? Time management, really, really, really important. I'm not using any tension. I'm cutting straight down like this, because I am going to go back in and use tension when I'm actually cutting the hair and layering it. So the entire back is almost fully done. Let's go straight down. There's only a little bit to cut. Let's go straight down. Boom. Once again, I'm just establishing my kind of the length of where I want the back of the head to be. Now, this may look, you may be saying, are we doing like a one-length bob haircut, or what are we doing here? No, I'm just establishing the perimeter down and through here. That's all I'm really doing. Okay? That's it. So, now, what am I going to do from here? Here is where I'm actually going to start layering the hair. And the reason is because I want to create, like I'm ready, I'm revved up, I'm ready to go. I want to create that shape in the back here. And I want to make sure that I'm leaving some length throughout the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb this straight up like this, and I'm going to establish my length. So let's turn the head this way so you all can see. Now, I mentioned I want to keep a good amount of length throughout the top. So let's cut this to about right here. And what I am going to do is I am going to go shorter here to longer in the front. And I'm sorry if I'm looking above, I'm just looking at the monitor. So I've had my guideline now. Okay, we're going to work right down the middle in the back of the head. Right here, I'm going to take my section, there it is right there, and I'm going to use this as the guide, and there it is. I'm going to follow and round this out right here in the back of the head. We're going to go all the way downtown, and we're going to connect the dots now. So I'm following the head shape. Hold on for dear life, don't let go, because that is our guide. And we're going to work and follow the head shape all the way down. You can't leave this out because there it is right there. That's why the hair ends up being really heavy down and through here. So I've done one complete section now. Next section, push this out of the way, and I'm going to comb. I'm combing the hair straight out from the head. There's my guide from the previous section, and now I'm just matching that up. I'm holding on to this. Notice how I'm holding on. That's where these little things called fingers come in handy, and I'm going to cut upwards. Hold on like that. I'm going to comb straight out from the head. There's the guide from the previous section, and I'm going to cut upwards. One last section down through here, and don't forget, like, you can always go back in. Okay, you can always go back in and cut going, and I'll show you how to do that. But right now, we're just really trying to get rid of a lot of that length. Next section. Now I'm gonna end up combing this more straight, kind of this way. There's my guide from the previous section. next section right here. And, you know, if you're a hair professional watching this, the thing is all about consistency. It's all about consistency and making sure that you're following the same guide, you're following the same kind of patterns in through here. If you do that, then, you know, chances are you're going to have a much easier time when cutting hair. Let's turn this mannequin head this way a bit now. So as I'm approaching into the back, here's my section, and I'm going to comb this straight out a bit more, like so. And I'm trying to just preserve some of that weight into the corner. There it is. Boom. We've got this whole side now. Oh, the whole back is completely cut in through this side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side now because we do have to match up. One-sided haircuts aren't really a cool trend right now. So go back to square one, and guess what? There's somebody waiting for us. Hello, Mr. Guide. Nice to meet you. There's the guide, and boom. Follow the same pattern all the way to the bottom. Notice how I'm standing in pretty much a consistent body positioning. I'm trying really hard not to do a lot of this. A huge percentage of hairstylists and barbers, I don't know who teaches them that, but they're going way over the top. They're hurting their backs. They're causing, you know, further injury to their bodies down the road. It's something I don't really like doing. So I never cut that way. I always try to keep my body position very, very stable. Okay, there's the guide. Hold on like that. There it is. Cutting straight across, all the way down. Hello, guide. And then push this out of the way because we don't want to touch that again. We've already cut it, and we can continue to move on. Here we go. If you're somebody who is like watching this and you're cutting hair at home, you're a client watching this, and say you're cutting, you know, a loved one's hair in the house, whether it's the husband, the boyfriend, the son, whatever it is, the wife. You know, when you watch my videos, I always tell people, look, you know, I've been cutting hair for 30 plus years, and this isn't something that I learned from just watching one haircut tutorial on YouTube. I've invested tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars on understanding how to cut hair. I've traveled internationally. I've worked for major companies, so I've learned a lot when it comes to the art of haircutting. So you may not get this right away. However, with practice, with persistence, and with some additional training and doing this over and over again, you know, it could be a little bit easier for you as time goes on. Now, we are not done, because what I'm going to do is now I am going to work in this corner right in through here. So let's comb this out because we still have all this hair up here. There is a corner right there, and I'm going to cut this just like that, because I do want this hair somewhere in this area, right around the ear. I'm not going like really, really short around the ear, but I do want to just take it down a little bit. And also, this is good for the area right down below here. This is a really, really great way to do this because you're able to get lower. And notice how I'm cutting palm to palm, which is allowing me to get a lot closer to the head. But my body position is much more, you know, it's stable. You're not seeing me do the, you know, throwing the arm. I mean, even doing that hurts. So I'm now cutting this on a vertical diagonal, which is basically cutting it up and down, but I'm doing it on a slight angle just because it allows me to get a bit closer to the bottom of the head down and through here. So you can see I'm working this in. And this is really a way of cross-checking. Wow, even Steven on that one. Not even any hair that needs to be trimmed. This is a great way to cross-check. It's a great way to really keep the haircut balanced. And you can see, by following this pattern, I'm pretty much done almost with the entire back of the head. Not yet, but this is the kind of work that goes into this, right? Is making sure that you really put that time and energy in. And this is all scissor cut. I'm not using any clippers or nothing. So here I am on the other side now. Let's comb this upwards like here. And we should see, there it is right there. And we should see, yes, there's the guide, and we're going to cut right up to there. Now we're going to connect this down into the bottom half, and there we go. Okay, next section, we're going to comb it this way. There is the guide from just what we cut, and I'm working my way upwards to check to make sure it's all balanced. Now what's going to happen is we're going to meet with the other side, and we've just made friends, and there we go. Just take that little bit off right there, and we've created a perfect balanced shape on both sides. Oh, let's make this even here. Let's comb this down. I'm liking what this is doing. It looks perfect. Now I'm going to cut this, and I'm just going to check this going full vertical, which means it's fully up and down now with the sectioning, and I'm just really getting close down through here, and I'm really checking. Right? I really want to check this. I'll even go horizontal in some areas, just right here, just to make sure that everything is balanced. And it's just like one little piece right there. Right? There's nothing wrong with doing this. And it's very normal to have a longer side. Everybody seems to have a heavier side always, a longer side always. That's always been my case, and it tends to always be this side that ends up being a little bit longer, so I'm just going back in and just finishing this right in through here. The good thing about this, though, is a lot of times it's only just very minute. It's not a whole lot of hair. It's just certain areas and pieces that are slightly longer that need to be trimmed, and you can just get rid of this all in pretty much one shot, which is what I'm kind of doing now. I'm just going back and retracing. And there we go. So now I'm liking how this is laying down. It's looking good. All right, let's bring this down slightly, comb this, and let me just check. And sometimes if things are off, it could be just because I'm trying to, with the camera angle, I'm just trying to make sure that everything is balanced. All right, here's a little corner piece right there that we have to cut. Okay, perfect. All right, now, what do we do moving into the top back of the head? So now, what I'm going to do is I am going to cut, right? I'm going to cut going from shorter to longer. There's the back right there. And I'm now cutting on an angle this way. And the way the hair works is we've got the top, the corners, and the sides, so we haven't cut the top back yet. I'm just going to round this out right here. Because if you cut the hair, I don't do this often, but if you cut the hair like straight up, like vertically, or horizontally like we first did, that will leave a line, which means that's why when I'm holding this up, I'm seeing a bit more of a harsher line, and I have to cut more just to kind of round that out. When you go straight up and cut horizontally, when you cut vertically right off the bat, then you're pretty much eliminating that line. Okay, so now let's check that. All right, perfect. Just a little piece right there. And I'm only going to go so far because we've got the top, the corners, and the sides. So let's turn this mannequin head full face on so you can see. And now it's time to cut the front. So let's comb this back like this, and now I'm going to create a horizontal section, which is right there, and I'm going to over-direct slightly back towards me because, once again, I do want to leave this a bit longer in the front, so I am going to over-direct slightly, which means I'm making sure I have hair from the previous section. Let's comb this up, and there's the guide right there, and I'm cutting straight across. Over-directing means you're pulling the hair back to you. Okay, as long as you can see that guide from the previous section, which is what we're looking for. So I'm going to comb this slightly back this way to make sure we preserve that length. And there is the guide, so we're going to cut this straight across. And there is the corner, cut this straight across. All right, so we've now connected this whole thing. It's time to work in through the corners and the sides. So I'm going to split this hair down here. Now I'm officially in the corner area, and this is where we can now start to remove any sort of excess weight in the hair. Hello, corner, my old friend. And there it is. We're going to be seeing a lot of hair coming off right into here because, once again, we haven't really touched this part of the head yet. So let's comb this back. And there it is as we work our way towards the front. And let's go right here. And this is where we're preserving the maximum length up through the top here. Right there. But we have to still cut the sides, which we haven't done yet. So what are we going to do? Let's push this hair out of the way. Get all that hair out of the way. And now we're going to go all the way downtown and through here. There's the guide. And boom, right on top. Last section right here. You're going to be able to see that hair from underneath. Let's comb this straight down. And there's all that hair from underneath. Boom, just like that. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to tilt the head like this. When I comb this down, there's going to be a lot of like hair, but it's not going to look good. Yeah, look at. So we've created kind of like a bob going this way, and we're going to get rid of that. So all we're going to do is we are going to take that piece off. Let's now create and connect this outline right down in through here. So I'm now creating and blending in all of this hair that we left. So let's bring this back. Let's comb this down, make sure we are where we want this. I'm going to take this down a little bit shorter, right in through here. And there it is. So let's bring this all back, and now there we go. Perfect. So you can see we've got all this hanging down. Let's bring all this now in one shot here, comb this all the way back, and there's just a slight little bit of hair that we need to cut. Let's check this, just that little bit right there. And boom, we are rocking and rolling. This is where the fun happens. So we've got this hair going back, but look at all that length we've preserved right there. This is kind of like an edgy 90s, I would say Johnny Depp-ish type of haircut. I know a lot of you like these types of haircuts, and I know you want me to do this. You want to see me do this throughout the whole entire thing from start to finish. All right, now I'm going to do the other side in the corner. So I'm standing in the same spot. There's the corner. And now we're going to move towards the front, just like we did before. There's the corner. Boom. I'm standing right here. I'm not, if I did this on the other side, I'd be throwing my arm over, and that wouldn't be good. There it is. So this is kind of square-ish right into here because I'm overextending this down this way. You can notice it's flat, so it's a little bit square. I usually don't cut a lot of square shapes, but for this one, I want to try to preserve as much length as I possibly can. And there we go, right there. Cool. Now that that's done, let's get this out of the way, push this out, and now let's work in through the rest of the hair, like we just did on the other side. There's all that weight. Goodbye. Comb this all down, get those knots out. Here we go. Boom. So what happens is, over time, as you keep cutting this, you're going to start to really see like all that hair. It's almost like following like a road map. It all just sticks out. It's very, very obvious, and it's easy to work off of it. That's what the guide is for, and that's what really makes things a lot easier. There's that bob shape I told you about before, which we don't want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb this out, and there's the corner. Let's comb this all the way down. Let's make that connection right there in that corner. Let's comb this straight down like so. And we're going to get rid of this length right in through here. Okay. Comb this all the way down, and there it is, right there. All that length being cut. Let's bring this back. Okay, now let's bring this down once again. Double check. I'm feeling a little bit of weight. Where is it? There it is right there. Boom. Let's bring this down. There's some weight right there we need to get rid of. And we're good to go. So let's bring all this down together at once now. And this is the true magic of where this all really plays in together. All right, now, this is where the magic happens. And I'm just going to check to make sure we're even Steven. Okay, how are we looking on the sides? We're looking good. This is good here. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Just one little bit right here is longer. Where is it? Where is it? Right there. Just right there. Because I pushed this top out of the way too much. Where is it? There it is. And now let's outline the very front. Comb this down. It is going to look like a triangle. That's totally okay. It's going to look like a triangle going shorter to longer. Totally fine. All you got to do is just even that out. And we're going to be good. Okay, there it is right there. Let's check in the front. Okay, perfect. All right, here we go. Now, this is where we do the cross-checking and where the real magic of this whole thing comes in. This is the my favorite part where we do the mohawk checking. And how I do that is just make sure the head is even, Steven. And now I'm going to comb this straight up and out like so. Okay, watch this. Hair grows out from the head, not all the way straight up, but we are over-directing slightly. So I am going to look for this to be a little bit longer right there. And perfect. Perfect, perfect. Let's go. There it is, just that little bit. Perfect. I'm checking for that. Yep, good. Let's bring this up now. Okay, good to go. And let's go on the other side now, combing us up, combing us up. Just that little piece right there. And last piece, boom. So we are good to go on that. Now, what if you want to create a little more texture? What if you want to create, maybe a little more shape to this whole thing? You want to be not so heavy. Well, that's where you can go in and do some slide cutting from underneath, like this, while the hair is a little bit damp. It's easier to kind of glide through it. I'm not really feeling for weight right now because I do know the hair already is heavy, like I can feel it already. But this is something that I want to do when the hair is a bit more damp because I'm doing slide cutting with a scissor. So I'm cutting from underneath, right? I'm doing like the kind of invisible layering from underneath like this. So get the longer hair out of the way, and I'm just slide cutting from underneath where I feel it's a bit heavier, and this is just creating some light texture. I do a lot of the thinning work and the texturizing work when the hair is dry. However, because the hair is still lightly damp, I would say, the scissors are going to glide through, and I'm looking for more of that like light texture as opposed to removing a bunch of the weight. The weight I'll remove if I need to when the hair is fully dry. Ooh, let's see. So I'm going to use a little bit of my structure styler right here, which is a great product. It's one of my newer products. Works phenomenally well, especially on, longer hair types or so, shorter hair types. I'm literally taking just a small amount because I want to just build a little bit of control and structure in the hair. So not a whole lot, very, very little. And I'm going to work this in primarily throughout the front and a little bit in through here. I'm also going to go in and probably use this as a post styler, but I just want to apply this right in the front here and a little bit on the sides just to get a little bit of control right in through here. All right, so now I'm going to blow dry this, and I am going to be using my ionic blow dryer. I'm probably not going to be saying much throughout this whole thing, so just follow along and check it out. Okay, now the fun begins. This is only half of the haircut. Okay, this is only half of it. All right, now let's check out and see what we got. Let's bring this head down. All right, so let's see. I can't even see this. All right, here we go. So now I'm checking to see the length throughout the front. Let's go with like a more middle parting here. Okay, there we go. You can see we've got, now look how much length we left in the front here. Look at all that length. And you see it only comes down to about right here. That's with leaving all of that length throughout the top. And you can see how much the hair, kind of shrinks up like this. So the hair comes down to here, but look how much when I bring it back, look at it flows right in through here. So, in order to have those pieces, you got to make sure that it's long enough. So this is just with like a little bit of structure styler. And right now what I'm doing is I'm just feeling and I'm looking for weight and balance. So let's check this out here. Actually, this is flowing back fairly nicely. So let's see, can I zoom? Yeah. So for this particular look, this is long enough, if you notice, that it goes back and you can brush it back and slick it back a little bit with all of this kind of coming down, right? What I want to do is I want to create a little more separation right in through there. So I'm going to utilize my feather razor, and I'm just going to start to remove some excess weight right in through here. I want to create a little more shape. So let's go and just add a little more notch into this slightly, just to add a little more texture. That's what I'm looking for. I'm just adding a little more texture and separation in through here. Bring this down over. And there we go. So I'm basically just scraping off a lot of the top layer, and do this at your own risk, because this is something that, I only suggest doing if you are comfortable. So see how much now closer to the head that's laying right there? That looks good. Let's go on the other side, in through here. All right, brush this hair out of the way. Let's turn this so you can all see. Yeah, this side needs it like a lot. So I'm really just scraping away a lot of that bulk right in through here. This is the stuff that needs to be done on dry hair. This right here. So I'm working the shape almost like with the style, right? Like with the haircut, or with the way it flows. Like I'm flowing the razor into this. Perfect. There we go. It's just so much better. Okay, even into the corners, in through here. Boom. All right, there it is. So now we've got that laying in. And let's go in through the top here. Let's bring this down. So now I'm really going to get nuts with this. And let's add some texturizing to this whole top area right in through here. Boom. Perfect. And now I'm really going to get nuts and let us separate or create some separation. And let's use a thinning shear right here. So now I am feeling for that weight, and this is where the bulk removal process starts. Just make sure that, look at all this hair coming off. Just make sure that your fingers are way in the clear. You do not want to be doing this with your fingers. So boom, lift up the hair and chunk it while keeping your fingers on your hand. All right, let's do this side. You can also let the hair even fall into the shears. This is best done on dry hair, on fully straight hair, definitely not on wavy hair, definitely not on curly hair, only on straight hair, and only if you do have a ton of hair, okay? I mean, I'm like going to town on these things. This is, once again, look at all this hair right here. Just goes to show you, look at all that. Boom. This is 100% human hair. Just so you all know, it is human hair, and there's a lot of it. So let's blow dry all this hair now out of here. And if you are doing this as a professional, don't freak out. And if you're watching all sorts of hair, you go home and you wash your hair and you have clumps of hair coming out. If you're a client, don't worry about it because this is totally normal. We just removed so much weight and bulk from your hair that you're gonna like be like, oh my god, all my hair's coming out. Well, no, it's just because we cut out so much bulk in your hair. All right, so now let's see. Let's go with Structure Styler again. So I want something really just kind of like lightweight. And I'm going to take a good scoop of this out. Make sure you always close the lids after using it. And I'm going to really just work this in. This is my newest product. It's really one of my favorite products of all time. It's so complex, this product. You don't need a whole lot of it. And I think I probably used a little too much right now in my hands because I could feel it. But just keep working it through all the way until it gets fully worked into the hands, right? That's what I'm looking for, is just really work that through. And now I'm starting to break down. So I just have a light texture in the hair, on my hands. And I'm going to be able to kind of sculpt this and mold this in a way just that I want. You know, just a little bit of control, a little bit of light structure to the hair. And I'm able to now go in and mold it and reshape it. You can also use this to create volume. Look how much volume is in the hair. But I'm looking for more of like a middle parting type of look. Okay, so let's bring this down in through here. I'm going to try to slick these all back this way. This is the only problem with working on mannequin heads, is that you try to run your finger through the hair and the whole mannequin falls off. All right, cool. This is looking good. We got a lot of nice shape and a lot of nice texture. I'm gonna just don't mind me for a second. I want to really work this into the hair. I really want to work this into the hair. There we go. All right, so right now we've got kind of like a slick back, a textured slick back type of look, kind of going over to the side a little bit. We can get that volume right here from the Structure Styler, which I think is like incredible. Look at all that volume we have in through here. A little bit of separation, which is nice. Okay, let's go over slightly this way now. Okay, now I'm going to start to work in a little bit more of a shape with the parting. Okay, there we go. All right, awesome. Okay, now if you want to bring these pieces down, you can. Kind of right in through here. Now, if you don't want to have a feeling of like, Structure Styler gives a little bit of texture, so you will feel like there's some product in the hair, but I want this to feel like, you know, if you don't want to feel like there's anything in the hair, then you don't even have to use this. You can just use it like how I did when I first styled it. Okay, there we go. Okay, Let's go down this side here. I'm actually liking how this side's laying. It's laying kind of perfectly. Okay. All right, cool. So here is a kind of a 360 version of this entire haircut right into here. So you can shake the head a little bit like that. Boom. And there it is. The hairs are going to kind of fall down like that. Again, a very kind of 90s grunge type of look. You know, if you don't want to have the hair all coming down like this, then, you know, you can wear it all back. If you want to separate it a little bit more and maybe get more of a softer look, then you can use the anti-static vent brush and you can brush through it just to kind of loosen it up and soften it up a little bit. The good thing about the structure styler is, yes, you are going to feel a little bit of the product when you brush through it. However, it kind of brushes right through and allows you to kind of sculpt it and mold it. And as you can see, it's softening up the shape, giving it more of like a feathered type of natural shape. So if you want something a bit thicker like this and a little more of a kind of like feathered type of look like that, then you can just brush through it. You know, brushing through the hair gives it a more solid kind of look. So this is something where, you know, again, you're still gonna have that length, but this is gonna allow it to have more of a softer, you know, kind of a softer flow to it in through here. But if you do want that kind of look, I wouldn't use structure styler while the hair is dry. I would just simply use structure styler a little bit when it's wet, or you can use tidal wave. But, you know, there's the look, and I think we are good to go. So I hope you all enjoyed this. This was a monster tutorial, a really, really big tutorial. If you like these old school videos of me just cutting hair and showing you different looks, come along this journey with me and let me know in the comments below. We got to get the comments up, folks. Like, what is this with 2 comments on a video? I mean, I have over 1 million subscribers. Like, I can't be having 2 comments on a video and like 500 views. We got to get the views back up. Please share this video. Please like it. Please engage with me. Do you like these videos? Do you want your hair like this? I'll also put the brush and 25 spray if you want to purchase any of the products in the view products. You can click it and you can purchase them. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you soon.